This is part 7 of the Craftsman King Seeley 150 drill press rebuild series. If you haven't seen part 6, click the link at the top of the screen. In this video, we're going to be wire wheeling a whole bunch of parts. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff and welcome to my shop. We got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. For most of this stuff, we're going to be utilizing the wire wheel on my bench grinder. And this is the end frames or shields for the motor. And we're going to finish these off with a media blast in some of those tighter areas that I can't really get to with the wire wheel. But I want to get the bulk of the paint off of them with this wire wheel. So these are made out of, I think they're aluminum. Pretty sure they are. But they do have some steel inserts in them because these have sleeve bearings on them. And I don't have a camera set up for my media blast, and it's, it is what it is. But part of the issue with media blasting something that's got sleeve bearings is that the gauze or felt or whatever they use on the inside to absorb the oil in those sleeve bearings, you don't want to get sand obviously in it. So when I did media blast, I put the little rubber plugs back in the oil fill ports, and I masked off the opening on the inside of each one of these end shields. And then after I media blasted them, I soaked them again in some simple green for 24 hours, and then rinsed them off and did several rinses of the gauze or whatever that material is to ensure that I got all of the contaminants out of it, so that when we're ready to reassemble, all we've got to do is put oil in them. So this is the terminal the terminal cover, and we're just getting the paint off of it. And there may be a way to remove all of the internal parts on those shield bearings, but I'm not going to disassemble them. So this is the motor mount, and it has some significant pitting on it. But once we've cleaned it up and painted it, I think it's going to be fine. So obviously there's some tight areas, especially on the back side of it, that are too tight to get to with this wire wheel, so we'll finish that off with a different brush and a drill later on. So all of this wire wheeling that you're going to see in this video probably took, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, which is why we're speeding up the film. Otherwise you guys would be falling asleep and I'd run out of stuff to talk about. And that's the motor mount. And then we've got the motor frame. Now there is something that came up while I was wire wheeling this that I didn't realize, and it's bent. And I'll show you that bend in a second here. And to correct that, I just took it over to the vise and straightened it out, and then smacked it a couple times with a hammer. But it and I didn't film any of that either. I'm just letting you know that I noticed that about it. And it was a pretty significant bend there. You can kind of see it there. I'm going to show it to you a little better. So This is the bend. And you can see, I mean, it's pretty simple. Just put that in a vise and compress it and then bang it a little bit with a hammer. So no big deal. And there are some kind of tight areas on the inside of it here that I can't really get at with the wire wheel. And that paint that's on that thing is, it's really on there. It's taken a lot of pressure to get it to come off of there. And some of it just isn't going to come off. I mean, it is what it is. But we got 90% of it off of there. So this is the spindle. And I'm mostly concerned with just cleaning up these splines right here that are on the end that interface with the spindle pulley assembly. Just want to make sure they're nice and clean. The rest of the spindle we're going to clean up on the lathe, but just giving it a once over with the wire wheel. And once we put it in the lathe, we'll do a run out check on it to see where we are, if we have to do any correcting. And that is the sound of my dog coming downstairs. These are the lock handles, and they were pretty heavily pitted as well. But I think they're going to be fine. That pitting texture, I mean, they have a texture to them anyways, but it's not a big deal. It's the handle part that's really pitted, not the screw. But they cleaned up pretty good. And a lot of these parts that we're cleaning up, this is all that's going to be done to them as far as cleaning them. At the very end of this video, we'll be coating them with some super slick stuff. That's my dog again. And he's down here in the office with me and shaking his collar. This is the feed stop rod. I normally just clean the threaded sides first and then come back and clean the flats. And the engraving on it's not super deep for the numbers on the scale side. Otherwise I'd try to fill it in, but I've tried in the past and it's not come out very well. So and these are the feed handle rods, which they're chrome. They're chromed, and the chrome is really pitted and oxidized, so we'll probably be stripping those and polishing them in the lathe. These are the Stator studs. There's 4 of those. And then these are the motor mount rods, and we'll be cleaning those up a little bit more in the lathe as well. They've got some pitting on them, but not a whole lot. This is the pinion, and similar to the spindle, I really just want to get those splines or the gears cleaned up, or the teeth for the gears, or the gear. And the rest of it we'll clean up in the or on the lathe. This is the quill and that gear rack that's on it. I'm trying to get in there, but that wire wheel brush is really tightly wound and doesn't want to get down in there. So we'll clean that up with a different brush a little bit later here. So this is the motor mount stud, and it's actually a little bent, and I end up trying to fix that bend a little bit later off camera. And then these are just various other parts, the Quill lock screw and the base set screw. So here we are with the chuck, and this is a Supreme chuck, but it's a little different than the other Supreme chuck. I've only played with 2 of these that I worked on previously. So there's some areas on this that we can't really clean up with this wire wheel, otherwise the thing would get jerked out of your hand. This is the sleeve for the chuck. And then these are the 2 halves of the split nut, and then the jaws. And I actually dropped one of those split nuts and had to go chasing after it. And I dropped one of the jaws as well. And so you guys see how close I am to that wire wheel, which is why I wear leather gloves, although I've had numerous people tell me that I should not be wearing gloves while working on the wire wheel. But this is the way I've always done it, and this is my work process. So these are some various parts from the motor, the motor clamps and outer rings and so on and so forth. This is the outer retaining ring, and then the Quill retaining ring. And then this is the lock screw for the quick adjustment on the feed stop. It's actually brass. So getting it cleaned up, utilizing a pair of vice grips. And then this is the feed stop collar, and this is the adjustment, and then the collar itself has got, it's knurled, I guess is the easiest way to say it. And then these are the motor governors that go on the actuator assembly on the rotor. So these are the lock sleeves and locks for all of the locks, the table lock, the head lock, and the Quill lock. And cleaning these up is pretty simple. I clean the ends of them, and then I'll put them on one of the lock handles. And then we've got the spindle collar assembly sleeve, and then the spindle collar itself. That's the Quill lock. So here we are at the workbench, and again this is the motor mount, and cleaning up some of those tighter areas with this different wire wheel on a drill. And yeah, you can see that pitting of all the parts on this drill press. This was the one that was probably the furthest gone as far as damage to it, but like I said, it'll be fine once we paint it. Then we're going to use some of these bottle brushes to clean out the bores on all these parts. Get all the areas that we couldn't get with the other wire wheels. And these are the brushes that I'm talking about when I say if you're going to clean out one of the threaded holes, put it in reverse rotation. Because if you have it in the standard forward rotation, it's spinning to the right, it's going to go down in there and just snap off. So here we are with the chuck, and we're just cleaning up some of those tighter areas that we couldn't get to with the big wire wheel. And then the splines and gear rack. Too easy. So these are the end shields from after I had media blast them. You can kind of see the media blast areas are duller. And I got most of the paint off of them. I didn't get it all off, but no big deal. So now we're going to coat these parts with super slick stuff. And this is a penetrating oil. None of these parts are going to get painted, so we can go ahead and coat them because they're all bare metal now. And once we've coated them, we'll flip them over, coat them again, and then wipe them down. And I really like that super slick stuff. It does a great job, and I've had all of my personal drill presses, you know, I mean, 2-3 years ago were cleaned up like this, and none of these parts have rusted. So it's doing its job and protecting these parts. And if they ever do start rusting, you can just pull them out, clean them again, and then recoat them. So that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to work on in the next video. Maybe some lathe work or maybe some fabrication, but we'll see. As always, I appreciate the support, and I will see you next time.